Well, we are right on time. How nice. Thank you everyone for being here. Um, Thank you, Penguin, and everyone at MetaGame. My talk today, as I set up my screen share, will be about onboarding new members into our community. And by our community, I mean the Web3 space, um, more specifically Ethereum and all the different pockets and things that are different happening within our space. But these concepts, I think, can be applied throughout the crypto quote unquote space in general. And my aim for this talk came about out of me spreading the idea that I have been thinking about for a while, and the problem that I've been dealing with for a while, which is how do we onboard new users into the space effectively in a timely fashion, arm them with the knowledge and the tools and perspective that they need to be as effective or as influenced or otherwise in the space as they want and need to be. We all, surely, or most of us, have tried to either explain or guide or otherwise onboard a friend or colleague or acquaintance to this space. And it usually starts with, how do I invest? Which we probably guide them towards Coinbase or some sort of centralized exchange for an easy ramp into the universe. And then hopefully we tell them right away that they shouldn't keep those funds there, that they should move it to their own wallet that they control, and enter the first confusing part of the entire step for someone that might be less technically savvy. Or even if you're technically savvy but haven't dealt with a crypto wallet or a seed phrase, what all that means, what a transaction is, very quickly within the first conversation, you've hit some confusing points for people, and maybe you don't even mention that you should be putting things on MetaMask and on Ledger wallets, and the entire conversation revolves around Coinbase or just acquiring Ethereum to begin with. But eventually, as we all know, to do anything useful with it, it can't sit on a centralized exchange, nor should it, for privacy and security reasons. But the talk isn't about that. It's about onboarding new people. So I have run the gamut. I've been preaching and talking and evangelizing Ethereum for many years now. I've seen, and throughout that time, I've increasingly become more technically adept. So it has. I've been growing with this. I've been growing right along with the space. But a short story about how I was introduced to Ethereum, and then we'll get into it. I became aware. Those are my friends. They don't know I'm presenting. Um, so I became aware of Bitcoin around 2011, 2012. And at that point, I did not understand what was happening. I understood that it was about $3 at the time. But then the next time I looked, it was $30. And I kicked myself. And then the next time I looked, it was $1. And I thought I was very smart. And then I put it all away for until around 2015, where I met my now very close friend Arseni at a party in the desert, and he and I talked about Ethereum all night. And this was either late 2015 or early 2016, and he explained to me not only the possibilities that it holds, the revolutionary nature of smart contracts and what it could mean for finance and humans in general. Perhaps it was the state of mind, perhaps it was the vibes, perhaps it was because we just understood each other, but I got it. I got it right away. And this was without, and I would say I get it. I don't, what did I get? I saw there was something there. I saw that he was very excited about it. And I saw that it was something that I should probably look into further. And I did, and I realized when I learned that smart contracts are surrounded or are based in Solidity, I realized I don't know how to write Solidity or any code. And so I started from the beginning and started learning to code. And that was 3 years ago. I found my way into a software uh, position, first as a support engineer, and then worked my way onto the integrations team at the company that I've been at. And all along the way have been increasingly working in the Ethereum space all the way up to now being part of many, many different projects. Onboarding me took about that long. I would say from that first conversation in 2015, I wasn't actually onboarded into this space until January 2020, when I realized, when something hit me in the head, and this was before DeFi summer, but something hit me in the head and I realized I have far too few CryptoKitties in possession. And I just went on a buying, because NFT is like, so it hit me like maybe a year ago, a little more. This people had explained to me what CryptoKitties represented, what NFTs represented, but it didn't hit me until a year. So that was 4 years. It took me 4 years for the light to go off in my head, and that was with me all in. All in. Everybody who knows me as the Ethereum, um, that Ethereum guy. But it still took me that long. And that got me to thinking. So from that point on, think like, if it took me 4 years, how long is it going to take people really? And I've this motivated. We don't have a great framework in this space right now for proving that somebody understands what's going on. Because for all the liquidity I might have provided, or transactions that I created and signed and sent and tokens that I spent, I still didn't get it. We need people to get it, because now the less technical folk, it's time for them. Time is now for them to come on. So that was maybe a little bit too long of a preamble, but that's sort of my background and what I have been thinking about as I've been thinking about proof of onboarding. And let's hope that the share screen functionality works. Do you guys see a spaceship that says proof of onboard?
Yep.
Hopefully. Cool. So our problem is that onboarding newbies and normies, and I call normies anyone who doesn't know exactly who Vitalik is by first name, and know what would probably make him clap. Those are normies. So in general, how do we take somebody from they are interested in Ethereum, what is Ethereum, explain it to me, all the way to the point where you don't have to worry about them having a transaction stuck and them wondering how to push it through, and explaining to them that they have to repeat the transaction on the same nonce but with more gas. Imagine going from what is Ethereum and then hitting that point, maybe even in the same day. You almost don't. You hope that you don't, right? It would be amazing if you took somebody all the way to that point where they have a MetaMask wallet and are interacting and sending transactions. But if something like that happens, so there's a lot of landmines along the way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What happens? We have very low user stickiness in this space. People who are less technically savvy become confused quickly, they disengage. If they don't have a friend or someone helping them along the way, we lose a potential community member because it's too confusing. Or there isn't enough assistance provided in a way that a person understands, in a way that a person can digest to become onboarded. But right now, and I think we're all seeing it, art and music, and what I call like specialty focused communities, are ready for this space. With what's happening with NFTs and digital art ownership into Decentraland and land ownership and now Audius, streaming platforms and tokenizing music, albums, mainstream people are doing it. We're on our way. We're going. But we want all of the regular folk also, right? We need our friends and our colleagues and our contemporaries in this space too. And we need them on board. And when I say specialty focused communities, my wife is a music teacher. She's a musician and a music teacher. And when I think about the issues that she dealt with this past year with having to take her lessons completely online and remote, how do you continue to engage your community in a new way that's rewarding for everyone while bringing in new interested people into your space? How do you motivate them to do it? How do you motivate the users or your students in this case to do so, or to market this community that they are a part of? How do you reward them for the marketing and the new users for coming on? These are all already baked in to the ecosystem that we're part of. Um, when I look at Discord and what's happening within that ecosystem alone, without Ethereum, to me, it's a lot like what podcasts were 10, 12 years ago. We're at the very cusp, and it's something, and podcasts were not brand new 10, 12 years ago. They probably came out when the iPhone came out. But it took about 3, 4 years for them to really hit, and then the wave started, and even and I had more than one podcast, as I'm sure most people on this call did too, and watching. All of a sudden, everyone had a podcast. I think we're heading towards everyone has a Discord community or similar, Slack, Discord, or fill it in, that is connected to Web3, that makes it easy to bridge the functionality of Web3 into the connectivity of space, Twitch, Discord. And as we saw with podcasts, those who capitalize on the power of spreading before it was communication and information, but now it's community. And that takes it to an entirely different level, because now you have engagement, not just from ingesting the content that's being put out, but actively engaging with not only the creators, but other fans of the creators, um, in a roped off, it might not be the best term, but in a sandboxed environment where it's like any community, any clubhouse, anywhere where people's interests are similarly aligned, you know that you're going to find a level of comfort, a level of engagement, a level of um, like not adaptive compatibility with those other people. And then it becomes, especially for, and I'll plug one of my projects that's sort of still in the works, but I have an artist and musician community that I'm working on. And the problem that we have, that we're dealing with, is this, and this is where proof of onboarding sort of, that was the inception of it. We have artists and we have musicians who are ready to take control of their product, their image, themselves, and bring it into the space. And NFTs are part of that. But the other part of that is engaging with and continuing to communicate with your fans, your followers, and getting new ones outside of relying on Instagram, Twitter, and other centralized platforms that I don't know, you have to play by their rules, rather than in somewhere like Discord, you can make your own rules. And so whether it's martial arts teachers, music teachers, or you name it, wood whittlers who are teaching their craft to others, can all benefit from a Discord-like community. When you fold in Ethereum into that, then you start really cooking something interesting. Next slide. So what is the solution? Proof of onboarding is the solution. Poo is the solution. If we have a system where we know if a user follows through with an onboarding setup that has been tried and tested and proven, that we can guide them through that system with the help, with guidance, with the support. We know that if they arrive at the top of the mountain or out the other end, that they have provably been onboarded. That is proof of onboarding. That is poo. The new user or initiate is guided by the Sherpa up the mountain of Web3. Along the path, you create a wallet, you receive tokens, you transfer those tokens, you provide liquidity. Perhaps you even stake your liquidity pool tokens and harvest rewards, and then pull everything out before the rug happens. If you're dealing with somebody more financially inclined, right? Along the path, the Sherpa is there, guiding, helping the new user up the mountain. Somebody can train a lifetime to ascend the top of Everest. But when they arrive at the base, if they do not employ the services of someone who has seen that mountain many times, knows exactly which crevasse to avoid today, and what not to pack in our packs, we definitely shouldn't be bringing with us to weigh us down, then you are going to have a bad time. So we have to, as a community, build a framework, build a system that is relevant to that community for these new users. If it's in the instance of an artist and musician community, we know that it's going to be creatively inclined people that are coming into community, especially if we are seeking to specifically onboard creators. They're going to be less financially motivated. They might be maybe less technically savvy than your developers and coders and that crew and your gamers. They're probably going to have a different path. They're going to need a different path, not only to digest and understand what's going on and how they can benefit from it, but also for them to not fall off. If you show them a path that's filled with 1000% APYs, that really doesn't speak to an artist who's looking for a platform to exhibit their work. And so we have to be conscious of that as community builders, leaders, and also people who are taking on the Sherpa role of guiding people through. They must be cognizant of who they're dealing with, the characters of this potential new user that we are. I'm getting some sort of error on my Discord that we're trying to onboard. If everyone still sees the stream, then I think we're okay. Next slide.
Yeah, I still see the screen. Chair.
Cool. So
Yeah,
an
me too.
initiate. Cool, awesome. So an initiate is generally scared. They're generally confused. They're asking themselves, why are we doing this? Why do I need a wallet popping up asking me to sign transactions and verifying things? Very quickly, things become unintelligible for them. They need someone there sitting with them, screen sharing with them, taking them through and explaining to them why they're doing what they're doing, or else they will fall off. It becomes too scary, especially when you're dealing with money. They know the price of this, that, and the other thing, and or they know the price of. They know what it took, and they know the price of Bitcoin. They understand that this is valuable and the transaction fee, so they need somebody with them, taking them through. But where does the Sherpa take them? Well, up the mountain, but every mountain is different. Every community has its own standard for what does onboarded mean for this community. So it has to be defined. It has to be crafted amongst those that are focused on this, because it's going to be different. I think of, and I'm pulling it out of thin air, but Avagachi, for instance. People are incredibly excited and stoked, and it's actually a very easy concept if you're familiar with what Tamagotchis were, then Avogotchi makes a lot of sense. And it's not a terribly difficult jump for people to go from, well, you pet an Avogotchi and you feed it your Tamagotchi, and you take that over to the internet and you're basically doing the same thing, but except you can have all of the NFT and DeFi functionality that's over there. But at the same time, somebody that probably would love Avogotchi and collected Pokemon cards and had their own Tamagotchi, even they would have a hard time if they were one of those less literate or technically savvy users to get it. They need so and Avogotchi's standard of onboarding is different from Pickle Finance's community proof of onboarding standards or Wi-Fi or a more financially. But the problems are the same. Both Avogotchi and Yearn will fail eventually if they fail to continue to onboard new users. Quickly they will run out of, if they haven't already, the super technically savvy and adept and wizardly developer types. They need regular old cup of joe users who aren't in front of a screen all day to be able to effectively use their platform. Else they will fail just like everyone else. So onboarding now more than ever needs to be focused on, especially while times are good, while we're in a bull market, because we won't be in a bull market forever. People will need to be convinced to use this software and this technology while the number go down. What I'm getting towards, and I'll say it now, is that I encourage everyone who is either part of or Sherpa Games. We went to the wrong slide. Go back. So while we're building these communities, I could stop sharing my screen. We have to be cognizant of this fact that it's not easy, and that while we can have short-term success with people figuring things out and coming on board, the long-term success of all of this relies on all of us contributing to onboarding people. The framework can be built and collaborated on and used. It can be built together and used by the entire community. What we need, the entire space, is a UI that takes users through the entire system that I described earlier of wallet creation, getting funds, using funds, signing transactions, doing things, buying art, getting into Decentraland, depending on what the use case is. Those things need to be defined and they need to be built into a front end. The smart contracts, if aren't already available by OpenZeppelin, can be compiled into something more useful and then spread into the community. It's something that I'm working on actively at the moment, and I hope to by the end of it have something that the entire community can use. That a configurable front end for the use case that you have, something that hopefully not even a developer needs to configure, that it can be something like Aragon. Let's say somebody who doesn't need to know how to code can go in and configure a front end for your community to provably onboard new users. My challenge to everyone is to think about how do we solve this and become more effective, not only in building the UIs, but in how we communicate to these new users, especially the ones who are not as adept or have not been as exposed to this space. It requires, and I don't have slides for this, but it requires understanding the characters that we're dealing with. There's basically 3 characters of people who are coming into the space that are curious and want to know more, that are seeking out information. They're either financially motivated, they are technically curious and motivated, or they are just standard curious. Curious because for curiosity's sake, they hear it's in the zeitgeist and they want to know more. And for each of those character types, character profiles, the approach needs to be different. A financially motivated person, I have found, is the easiest person to onboard, because when they understand that the only barrier between them and insane APYs is learning which path to click through, well, they figure it out. They figure it out rather quickly. And as I have found recently, I had a friend who had a Coinbase account but had never used it, was asking me to send him BNB because he had a transaction stuck on the Binance Smart Chain and was trying to acquire, crazy amount of early tokens. Like, this was within a week. So very proud of him. I almost said, "Hey, you've gone too far up the mountain, too quickly." Um, but it was very inspiring to see that someone who really just could follow directions well, but really didn't understand what he was doing, went full on into the docs. But you can't expect everyone to do that. The second, the less harder person to onboard would be your technically capable user who it will be easier to understand the concepts of a blockchain and transaction times and gas fees and how gas is calculated. You can breeze through those things, or at least get through those things more quickly and into the more fun stuff. But what we really need to all focus on as a community is those interested for interested's sake users. Those are your meat and potatoes brick and mortar users that you need. There are more of those users and more of those people than anyone else. And not to harp on it too much, but in order for us to succeed as a community going forward, those are the users that we need. So whatever it is that we're building, whether it's communities for creative people or tools to financially dominate the space, or charitable or otherwise, we need to be thinking about the less savvy users in every step of the way. How are we going to onboard them into this? That leaves me at 3:28. This was scheduled for a 1 hour, but I very comfily fitted into a 30-minute. If anyone that is on the call now, I see there's a few, has a question or would like to discuss a point that I brought up, I would love to take a cue and I will provide some A's. But if not, I would just leave you all with the challenge of, let's begin onboarding more people more quickly in a more straightforward way that they will understand. It took us all however long it did. For me, it took me about 3 or 4 years, even being as deep in as I was, for me to really get it. It can't take that long for everyone going forward. We need to be able to prove that someone has been onboarded, to guide them up until that point so that they don't fall away, and then we can breathe easy knowing that they're going to survive going forward.
I think you bring up a lot of great points, Chair, about different people needing different kinds of guides, especially like even if we're taking the context of people that are experts in our field. When you go to a different mountain, it's nice to have someone explaining the platform, and someone that is an expert in NFTs might not know where to step in DeFi. So even like people that are crypto natives might not have the full understanding of the different mountains. So I think what you're talking about with this proof of onboarding and the direct interactions with people is 100% the way that it has to happen, and that people are really have the support that they need to understand things.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm an example of that myself in that I became more immersed in DeFi and APYs than I was in the NFT space, and it's taking me turning to my art friends and my NFT artist friends and what's going on over here? Uh, please take me through this because it's even for people that are in it every day. There's too much going on, so you quickly recognizing who we're dealing with and sort of what perspective they're approaching things with is um, is important. It's very important.
I think also recognizing people as they come in and what their talents are and if they'll be a valuable addition is critical to make sure that they're handed off to the communities that are going to best suit them, because the Sherpa doesn't live with the team. After he takes you up the mountain, the Sherpa goes down and takes another person up the mountain.
You know, where my slides broke and I broke away talks a little bit about the Sherpa role more and how do we motivate a Sherpa. Um, and it actually becomes uh, fun when you think about creating a scoreboard for the Sherpa role, measuring a Sherpa's success by the amount of checkpoints that their initiates get through, how many initiates they're able to onboard, having an overall status, and being able to gamify it for other Sherpas to if not only if there's financial benefits, whether it's tokens at the end of it, an NFT at the end of it, or even just clout or some sort of status, like, but probably you're going to want more than to motivate. That you can have Sherpas, especially effective Sherpas, continuing to do their role. Um, if you financially motivate, let's say, you might have someone who is right on the borderline of they might be a good Sherpa, but it's just not worth their time to sit and be available for people. But all of a sudden, it is worth their time. It's very much worth their time because there's almost nothing more valuable to a community than the people who bring new people into the community. I envision, and we sometimes already have this, but Sherpas being on call, having times during the day. Sherpas are in a voice chat, ready and available, and things can also be scheduled. You can have a user go through the sign up process, then schedule their time, or you have open office Sherpa hours where people come in, pair with someone that will take them through whatever this process is, and here we go. And once we're going, and this actually I should expand on this a little more. We can programmatically verify on chain all of these steps, if not most of them, that I've described, creating a wallet, verifying an address was created. A Sherpa, let's say, once someone is ready to begin their ascent, the Sherpa that is assigned or paired with them will transfer them their first tokens. From there, signing transactions, creating transactions, and going down the list is now possible. Now we will need to use a chain that where gas doesn't make it restrictive, but near or XDAI or other Polygon, anywhere really. In order for, let's say, to really be able to stretch one DAI a long way using a side chain or an L2 or otherwise, we can make investing $1 or one DAI per new user and having that be the gas in their tank, and all that they really need in order to have a full understanding of whatever the mechanisms that we're trying to have them understand are. Um, that's how I see it moving forward. Is the UI and all of the transactions and interactions that go along with that. The Sherpa, and perhaps even the first transaction that the user signs, is verifying, or like a dual signature with the Sherpa verifying that this is our pair going forward, that every checkpoint hit by this user is, credit should be assigned to the Sherpa. And you can rinse and repeat. You can also create new Sherpas right out of these new users that you have onboarded. So gamifying the UI, verifying on chain, and rewarding everyone for going through the process, having someone available to answer questions right there along the way. That is proof. That is proof of onboarding. That, I think, wraps it for me, unless anyone has more questions. Penguin, thank you very much for giving me the time. And I
Yeah.
look forward to Poo round 2 when we have built it out a little more.
Do you think that you could tell people just a little bit about the community right now that you're working with?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called the Bang Gang, and the token will be Bang Bang. We aim to onboard specifically normies, specifically artists and creators, musicians who are not currently active in the Web3 space. I mentioned earlier the time is ripe for those, specifically musicians and artists. There's no more, the functionality is there, the tools are built. We just need the players to fill the teams now. And so Bang Gang is going to implement version 1 of Poo. We aim to build the framework that will become open source, and that we can spread across the entire community. If anybody wants to adopt it, are more than welcome to. And so we're sort of battle testing it within the Bang Gang. And certainly, if anyone would like to, in fact, anyone on this call or that might watch this video, if they want to ping me on Discord, I am in the MetaGame server, and you can find me. I am Chair. Ping me, and I'll send you an invite to the Bang Gang if you are inclined to onboard creators who could benefit from this space.
Yeah, and the Bang Gang looks like a bunch of season 0 cohorts kind of came together. Is that the origin of the group?
It's a conglomeration of all the different communities that I'm a part of. So there's a lot of Raid Guild members. There are a lot of Shenanigan team members and community members. A lot of rope homies that are in there, and who else? I mean, and now, and my normie friends. I have a group of about 15 normies in there, and they range from developers, artists, musicians, creators, video people, who are completely that don't understand anything that's going on in the Discord, that require Sherpas to take them through and then put them on. And so it's at this time it's a mix of incredibly adept people and incredibly new and fresh people to the space.
One of the things I've noticed about it that I really like is it's a lot less apologetic and kind of like in your face, which I think a lot of people kind of need. Obviously, the hardcore lifestyle is probably not for everyone, but I think that also speaks a lot towards like meeting people where they are and giving something that will catch their attention, not just kind of flow past their radar with people's short attention span. I think you're doing a great job of hooking people, and I think that'll go a long way towards making sure that they're fully onboarded.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm very cognizant of some things. I mean, I have we all have our own values. I try to let people create. I very much believe in that we create our own reality, right? That we manifest our own reality to some degree, and that also exists online in our online communities. So it's my hope, and I always hope that a community polices itself. If there's something or someone or some content that is present that people either don't like or are offended by, or that um, for the most part, a community can police itself, because most of the time, people are looking for reinforcement about things that they're posting, things that they're saying, and if they're not finding that, they either stop or change their behavior. So I try to strive for that. And obviously, if there's things that need to be moderated, they'll be moderated. But we have a lot of different channels. We have international channels that we're building out, that we're very strict on the languages of those nations, and those dialects, those communities need to be followed in those channels. But that sort of is to be more inviting to people, because not everyone speaks English, and we can't assume that they do. But I want to follow um, an example that was sort of set for me. I worked in the music industry, like the entertainment industry, pre um, tech, and I always really enjoyed a collective mentality and a collective influence among artists, creative type people, where you have the ability to be more free and creative and take chances that you wouldn't when you are in front of, let's say, a paying audience that came to see you on this night. They paid tickets, they showed up. That is a different performance that you might give to an audience that filled with half people who enjoy it and half other artists, other creators. It's a completely different vibe, whether it's music, um, whether it's visual art, graphic art, or comedy. Um, is in your audience will inform and affect how the performer um, behaves. And so I am shooting for, and I would like, now if the community decides it doesn't want it, then that's not what it's going to be. But I'm a fan of the artists performing for other artists and fans. It changes the chances that they take, and it expands usually um, the perspective of the audience. So that's what I'm hoping for in the Bang Gang, is sort of people to be comfortable to take chances. Um, bang bang.
Bang bang. Well, thanks a lot. We've got a small gap. It looks like Meta is busy with her class. She's not here to do her MetaMask setup for XDAI. So we've got a little bit of a time.
So, do you want me to vamp? I can vamp. Are we still recording? Are we still streaming?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Okay, so I'm gonna perform a number. No, I'm just kidding.
We actually have like 45 minutes, so it's not like a small amount of time.
Oh, so I
Yeah.
was supposed to be done in 15, and then there was another hour and a half.
Yeah, yeah. That's okay though. I mean, it. So what you're talking about right now is exactly what I told other people, like for last week. It's more important for us to have an interesting discussion between ourselves than try and fit some kind of, canned agenda or work through things, because having the audience that is going to be engaged in the conversation and saying stuff that the speaker is also interested in, we're going to get a better discussion than if we're just like reading the same slides.
Completely agree. Please, anyone, if you please feel free to jump in. I know I'm on camera and stuff, but please, like, the floor is for everyone at this point. But I have one thing I've been thinking about. And it's pretty timely. Because yesterday I got a text from my local bodega owner, who I'm very close with. and his family. He's at the bottom of my building, and he texted me yesterday. He said, "Aaron, what do you know about NFTs?" And I just said, "Too much." And he said, "Okay." But I think the most that he knows about crypto is that he has a Bitcoin and Ethereum ATM in his shop. So he's aware that people use it, and he makes whatever he makes off of it. He skipped everything. He skipped where do I buy? I mean, obviously he knows where he has an ATM. He said NFTs. It's like this is a 60-year-old gentleman. So folks, we're here. It's on. It's popping. I think we're not like we spent all this time, and I say we like the collective, not me. But we is it's like, oh, the normies are coming. The normies are coming. Our UIs are not ready. Our UX is not ready. And the reason Binance Smart Chain is winning right now, in my opinion, because new people are just going straight to BSC. They are skipping, and they're just going, oh, there's NFTs on BSC. I can use my credit card. Bam, done. Now we have to do all this work of like untraining people. Of like, no, this is why it's bad. Yeah, it's slower and more expensive over here, but you cannot be over there, or do whatever you want. But that like I had a wrestling coach who said it's like it's harder to unteach the bad, the ones who have like bad habits. It's harder to like uncoach that and then teach them new habits. We don't want people going to centralized, completely, well, whatever. We want them over here with us. So I don't know. It's like I'm guilty too of not thinking about this enough until now, but now I think I don't know, like Penguin, I would ask you like, to me it's our UIs and UX, and I think people have been saying that, but like what would you say like in addition to that, or you can just harp more on that, is the blocker for getting new people on right now?
So, as you say, like your example of the bodega guy, my father-in-law last week, he was like, I was watching the news and saw them talking about Top Shots, and he's like, I finally get what you've been talking about for the last year and a half. And I think it's the something that they can relate to. Like something like Top Shots is really easy for people to understand what an NFT is. And before that, we're kind of having to project these images of what an NFT is. I was literally describing it as, think of it like a digital baseball card. It's like, but there weren't digital baseball cards that I could point to for people, But now they see Pranksy online, or they see a Beeple for $69 million, and suddenly they're like, oh, okay, they understand it a little bit more than just like the nerd talking about like how computers are awesome and we can own data. I think it's all like who is telling them about it and who the storyteller is with how much they listen to us. And the Sherpa only can guide the people that hire him. And Nicolas Cage wants to go climb up the mountain without a Sherpa. The Sherpas just kind of laugh, but he might take a whole bunch of people up the mountain to Binance with him, so to speak. You're muted. You pushed your mute, I think.
I said, and Binance needs Sherpas too, and I don't mean to harp on them or anyone. I think every single project needs to train everyone on the project involved, and then spanning out from there, everyone in the space needs to understand a few key things to make it easier. Even everything can stay the same. The UIs and UX can stay terrible and slow and expensive, and like decentralization is like a big part of that. That's the part where it's like, right, but even beyond that, we can't have it so that only 10% of any given team is good at onboarding people. We have to have it like 90%. We have to have it like, okay, there's 10% of people that it's just not going to happen with them. And but 90% we can rely on to assess the character type of the user, and this is for every project. So that's why it's like proof of onboarding. It has to be a concept where people adopt, and hopefully there's a framework that they can just install, because we're gonna have competitors. Say we, like the Ethereum space, it's gonna have competitors that are centralized that look and smell and feel exactly like Ethereum, and if they say the right words, like that'll be it. So we need to bring, we need to be able, because like they don't need, like, you go on BSC and it works and it works and it works the first time and it's fast and it's cheap and you click into boom and it's great. It's like, okay, well, these are all the problems that, so
Yeah, I mean, look at Nifty Gateway, right? You want to talk about like ease of onboarding and just like the impact of being able to spend a credit card to buy NFTs. I mean, perfect example.
I'm even guilty of not being on Nifty Gateway enough. But yeah, it's somebody comes into a Discord, let's say, if everything, and I could be way off, but I envision that what we as people who are pretty active in, when I say we, I mean like the people in this voice channel, all the people I recognize, like, we're active every day on Discord because we're in this space. We understand what it is to join a community, get in, look at the user list, meme a little, say what's up, look at the protocol, read the docs. Like, maybe you do, maybe you don't, I don't know. But like, we kind of get it in the sense that we onboard ourselves. That's what I mean by get it. Is that we kind of get that it's like, nobody's gonna, like, you have to figure it out yourself. Like, most of the people that are adept at this point is because they could figure it out themselves, or had, like me, people just being very nice and showing them along the way and holding my hand. So having that, like, somebody comes in, boom, and then only maybe in certain cases when something becomes more difficult, you sort of have to escalate this onboarding to somebody who's specializing. But anybody should be able to onboard. Anybody should be on. I challenge everyone. Here's my voice right now. Go invite somebody over 50 onto your Discord server, tell them to meet you in voice chat, and see how many months that takes. Go. Tell somebody who doesn't have Discord on their phone or computer, tell them to download the Discord app and meet you in this voice, in this voice channel, and send them an invite link, and then sit back with a timer. There's some Sherpa in that needs to be done just for that. So we need to think about it that way. It's like, it's not just sending a link, like, that's not going to get them on. Having docs available, it's not going to get people on. They need to, like, here's the carrot, give me your hand, we're going to go peel carrots. Like, why do we peel carrots? Because they have vitamin E and blah, 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 like, carrot, like, the whole thing.
100%. And it's funny to hear you say that, because that is one of the huge pains that I have for people. And it's like, I've got to get you on video chat just to explain it to you.
Yeah. And for now, I think we can do it for now. Still small. There's people available. We're all motivated. We're all excited. Like, a UI that just takes people through, to me, it's like even Uniswap, even these little tools, like, and I guess they have test nets, but mostly developers use the Uniswap test nets. There's like, what if Uniswap built a tour of, like, do this, now do that, now take your liquidity out. Oh, whoops, looks like, let's fake a stuck transaction. Now you're gonna have to, and then push the nonce through, except that I don't know how you would program that, but let's say it's possible to, like, have them experience a transaction that's delayed because the gas is too low and they need to up it. At least at this point, you need to know how to do that if you're going to be effective. Hopefully, in the future, the button actually works, right, and is reliable. The speed up button will actually speed it up. And the cancel button actually cancels, and all of that. But it's like, how do you tell somebody, oh, no, just cancel it, but don't cancel it with the cancel button. Only fools use the cancel button to cancel a transaction. I know you would think to do that. It's like, there's these things that still exist where it's like, We have to do better.
Yeah.
And we will.
I think you see that pain point when everyone hits that like stuck transaction. Or I've even had some that are like beyond the stuck transaction. So even if you like fix your nonce, like the only recovery is like full reset of the wallet. I had one
What
of
it,
them like it confused what the main currency was. So it got stuck between the transition between XDAI and back to mainnet. So it still thought the main currency was XDAI.
I want to say that might have even happened to me. But so let's say it's stuck. Transaction is. Oh, did it not even? Was it stuck in the broadcast before it even hit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. There's a great one. New user. That's their second transaction they ever did. How motivated are they now to come back and use it a third time? Not so much. And it's not like it's but like so what do you need there? How do you feel? Because like right now it's not like, oh, we just need to build a better browser wallet. It's like, okay, there's people working on that. But right now, what every community needs, what every project needs, let's say from right now to probably 6 months to a year from now, is somebody sitting there that's like, hey, I got you. There's already degen sitting there. There's already people who don't leave Discord. There's already people who love the project enough and know everything about it. And you could say this for every single icon as you go down the thing. So it's like now we need to sort of focus people's attention on, do you want to keep having friends in this place that you like? Then start bringing more people in here, or else we're gonna go dinosaur on everyone.
You know, I've also noticed that with like, you know, with our innkeepers is what we call them here.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to generate more innkeepers. So I mean, a lot of these people on the call, so Tommy, Bagsy, McHugh, and Miss Anth, to a great deal, are like really active in engaging all the new people. Myself as well. I try to do it as much as possible, not only so I can say hi and meet who's coming in, but also like make sure that they have like the right path to go forward. But by making more Sherpas, it gives them a way to like participate, and it allows kind of the more advanced people to focus on other things. And so it's not like it's not a valuable use of our time. It's just that there are also other more critical things that we can also be working on.
You know, I realize like I could have, one thing I will improve for the next iteration of this talk is like
We're probably still
it's
rolling.
it's essentially it's proof of onboarding is really training your community to be able to fractally expand without, so that it becomes magnetic, that if something gets close enough that it attracts to and becomes a cohesive thing without too much energy, like the least amount of energy spent. So it's like coming at it from that. And the shenanigan is a project that I'm like project management stuff on. Particle is our coin. She.energy. We have a very big international community, and one thing that community does way better than our English speaking community is onboarding people. There's when new people come in, like I watch the Espanol channel, it's like new people come in, people are helping like much more. And as a support engineer, like I was sitting at the support desk for 2 years. I have my path of like, I know I can quickly assess and quickly like understand where I have to, what perspective I have to meet the person I'm talking with to take them through this. And like, and you get surprised sometimes that you have like a 68-year-old like super adept user that's going through, and you thought you were going to have to do something, but no, it's actually, or you have somebody who you think by their age should be able to figure it out, but it's like, no, they're actually way less technical. You never really know, but what you learn to do is not expect anything, but like as soon as you have a little bit of input to quickly go, oh, okay, you're this type of user, whether it's, okay, financially motivated, come over here, we're going to look at SushiSwap, You know, here you see this, you're farming. You're an artist. Let's go over here. You're a gamer. Check out Decentraland. Check out what's going on over here, like Dark Forest, whatever. But understand who you're talking. Don't show a gamer at Sushi Swap and be like, all right, like, cool, and so on and so forth. So it's like for Bang Gang, we're being on artists, musicians. We need to showcase performance spaces, art galleries, auctions, creating interest, marketing, follow up. Like that's what artists are looking for. They're not looking for DeFi.
Yeah, as a game designer and developer, what originally onboarded me was another game developer coming into the Slack group that I was in at the time, and basically asking for alpha testers for a blockchain game at the time. And so, you know, like even just like that level of networking and like finding people that have a similar interest that they were able to hook me from, you know, and kind of throw me down that rabbit hole. And they were on a Matic testnet at the time. So, you know, it was free. They paid for everything. It's still, you had to have like a wallet. Like they had Portis wallet, so you could sign up with an email. And I remember like, so I pretty much like onboarded myself after that, and coming back to them and telling them like, you guys need to work out like a freemium model. I'm not gonna pay for each one of my moves that I make in the game. And then, you know, they gave me the NFT buyable, and we're like, well, here you go. This is what we're doing. And you know, me coming back like a month later and just like understanding it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it takes someone that has like the curiosity and the technical ability to, and like willingness to change, to really come back and change their perspective, because it's a big deviation to go to like a step where we have to pay for every action that we take. Gas is not a natural thing for the web.
People don't naturally understand that they're paying already with their attention, right? Like for every step you make in a game or a transaction, usually there's a cost, or there's like you have to sign. There's like an extra step at the least, right? The trade-off for that is immutability, censorship. It's like that's the trade-off.
Transparency.
What is like what does that mean to you? Like, do you value that or no? It's like okay, it's like, but why should you? Why should you not? But like you can actually start having these conversations. But it's a lot. That goes back to like how much of the faucet do you open, and like when do you open it for a user? But like that's just something I think about. It's like we pay for every step, we pay for every transaction. There's like an extra step baked into everything. The trade-off is very positive if you're looking at it from one perspective. If you're just trying to get something done and move quickly, and it's like that, now we're into like a philosophical conversation that like a lot of people don't care to have. So that's something else I think about. It's like people like, but it's faster. It's the same, but it's faster over here. And like, why does decentralization matter? Like, why does it matter? It's like, well, like you have to start touching on like ideological things. But like people, it's like I don't know. I don't know what ADA is trading at, but I know it was at like 5 cents at some point. It's probably like 500 now. I don't know. But they're like, why wouldn't I just use Cardano? And I'm like, I don't know. Use Cardano. It's like, but I know, like, I don't. It's like, and maybe Cardano is fully decentralized. I actually don't know. Shame on me. Shame on me. And if there's a Cardano maximalist in here, please yell at me right now. you know, like I'm more familiar with what's available, like as possibilities and what's happening on the Ethereum network. And so, but it's like, how do I? That's my challenge. I guess that's my question. It's like, when faced with, why don't I just use, what's Justin's son, Tron? Why shouldn't they just use
Because
Tron?
it's dog shit. That's why.
But somebody actually told me,
Fuck
and I'm
Justin's
like, I
son.
don't know. It is cheap. It's fast. I don't know. Like, I don't have a great answer. Like, if you don't care about
Ethereum
decentralization,
China.
but like, I don't have like, I agree like that. It's like, oh yeah, no, this is a completely manipulated. You just looked, if you ever watched like the early Tron chart, it was just such a, it was like a, like there's something happening here, I think. But
Just fake it till you make it.
yeah, which is
Lunch with Buffett. $6 million Beeple.
But even then, like, and I mean, they're very smart about what they're doing because they don't want us, right? They could care less about like this audience of like philosophically disagree with what's going on. They're like, all right, disagree with us as we'll laugh all the way to the moon. Because they don't care. It's like, look, we're fast. We do all the same things. Smart contracts. Hey, it's like, how do we compete with that? There's a lot of there's a lot of sherping that goes on, and it's not a one day thing. So it's like, we need to think about that. Because all the competitors are coming. Everybody all day, it's gonna look, smell, feel, taste like Ethereum. How do we
And
show
when
people that it's not?
you mentioned just now, you said you're more comfortable in the Ethereum network. Do you mean like on the Ethereum mainnet, or do you mean the wider sort of EVM compatible ecosystem, like with the other main L2s? And where do we draw the line between just like a copycat and an L2? If there are bridges, do they just suddenly become L2?
You know, that's an interesting. Like, what's the most controversial bridge that exists? Is there there is a bridge between BSC and XDAI now, right?
There is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell
So now,
Mihail though, because I routed him through mainnet the other day, and he spent some money. I didn't know. I should have known. I was a
I
bad
mean,
Sherpa.
we could all learn. I actually haven't used it, but I saw somebody posted an infographic of like, this is the route, and I'm like, oh boy, that's interesting. But
Someone
yeah,
just
I don't
posted a
know.
picture of my car keys at the park. I gotta go get them. Yeah.
Wait. Somebody posted a picture of your car keys?
Yeah. Well, my old
That is
car.
fun.
Okay.
My new car doesn't have keys.
I can't wait to hear how this turns out, but you better go get those.
That's exactly what my wife told me. She just told me, look at these pictures. Those are your car keys. And they are certainly my car keys.
So you
Hold on,
lost
hold
car
on.
keys once, and someone's like, "Oh, hey, look at these keys."
Well, they also have my house keys.
Oh.
I've been wondering where my house keys were for a year. I guess they were at the park. Going back.
Nobody
Thank you
wants to
so much.
touch them.
Go,
They're all covered in
now.
COVID.
I need to go find my security.
Enjoy.
Gary.
Penguin gets closer and closer to Dockstown every day. Just more and more of his life is unfolding on Discord.
Yeah. We all are, aren't we?